Today, just for a moment, let me take you back to a conversation where you were speaking, sharing something, maybe even something that mattered to you, but somehow you still felt unheard and not fully understood. Like the words were there, but the connection was not. And if you pause and think about it, I'm sure you have felt this before, maybe more than once. Because the truth is, everyone wants to be heard, but very few people feel truly listened to in a way that feels whole and truly understood. In a world full of noise where everyone is speaking, sharing, reacting, something essential is quietly missing. And that gap is where frustration lives. It's where clarity fades and confusion takes its place. There's a simple psychological truth here. Feeling hurt is one of the deepest human emotional needs. Research shows that when people feel truly listened to, their stress level decreases, their defensiveness softens, and they become more open, more receptive, more connected. So listening is not just polite, it's regulating, it's healing, and it's human. And do you know what's beautiful is? This idea is deeply rooted in our faith. It's in the Quran. So give good news to my servants who listen to what is said and follow the best of it. Surah Az-Zumar, verse 17 and 18. It's not just about hearing, but listening with intention, reflecting, choosing wisely, and advising wisely. My gentle listeners, don't you think we are always taught how to present, how to persuade, how to respond? As students, we learn how to express ideas clearly. As professionals, how to pitch, how to communicate with impact. And in life, we are always presenting ourselves in some way, our thoughts, our opinions, our responses. In this moment, just ask yourself, do we ever really learn how to receive? And in many cases, the answer is no. Listening is often treated like waiting to speak, waiting to reply. But listening, real listening, is not passive. It's active. It's intentional. It's a quiet form of presence. As American educator Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. And if we are honest, we have all been there. But when you truly listen, you do more than just hear words. You build trust. You deepen relationships. You make better decisions. And a world that keeps getting louder, your ability to slow down and offer your attention becomes a rare kind of strength. Listening creates psychological safety. When someone feels heard, they open up, they trust. And that changes the quality of every conversation. It reduces misunderstandings because most conflicts are not about what was said, but about what was assumed. And assumptions grow when we do not listen carefully. In psychology, there's a concept called active listening, where you are fully present, engaged, and absorbing. That's when real understanding happens, not when you are reacting, but when you are receiving. And there's something important here. You know, there are levels to listening. The first level is listening to reply. When someone is speaking and you're already preparing your answer, you're not fully there, you're waiting. The second is listening to fix. You want to help, you want to solve, but sometimes people don't need solutions, they need space. The third is listening to understand. Now you are present, you're not interrupting, you're not rushing, you're trying to truly see their perspective. And the deepest level is listening to feel. This is where empathy lives. You're not hearing just words, you're sensing emotions. And this is where real connection begins. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, embodied this kind of listening, the fourth level of listening, the deepest level of listening. It is narrated that when someone spoke to him, he would turn fully towards them, giving them his complete attention. Imagine that level of presence today. No distractions, no divided attention, just being fully there. Now, let's talk about the modern world, so-called modern world, real-life scenarios. Think about meetings and gatherings where everyone is waiting to speak, but no one is truly listening. You leave the room and realize very little was actually understood. Think about conversations where someone shares something difficult, and within seconds, advice starts coming in. Just do this. You should try that. But what they needed was not a solution. They needed to be heard. Even in our personal relationships, sometimes someone just wants to say, "This is how I feel." Not to be corrected, not to be fixed, but just to be understood. Ralph Nichols, often called the father of modern listening research, once said, "The most basic of all human needs is the need to understand and to be understood. And listening is how we meet that need." So, how do we become better at listening? Not perfectly, but intentionally. Pause before you respond. Even 1 or 2 seconds can shift the entire conversation. Do not interrupt, not just externally, but internally. And by internal interruption, I mean the moment when someone is speaking and your mind starts to forming a response, or you begin judging or thinking about what will you say next. Just notice it and gently bring your attention back. Reflect back what you heard, and in your conversation, let the other person know. So, what you were saying is, then allow them to continue speaking, to complete their thoughts without interruption. This simple phrase does something powerful. It slows you down. It shows the other person they are being heard, and it helps you confirm that you are not missing anything they have said. Because often in conversations, while the other person is speaking, we start internalizing and preparing our answer at the same time. So, this becomes a gentle way to stay present, to make sure you are truly understanding before you respond. It shows care, it shows presence, and it builds clarity. During the conversation, ask one deeper question, not many, just one. A question that does not interrupt the moment, but deepens it. For example, instead of rushing to give advice or multiple suggestions, you might simply ask, "Can you tell me more about that?" Or, "How did that make you feel?" Or, "What was that like for you?" A simple question that says, "I'm here and I want to understand." Not to fix, not to respond quickly, but to truly be with the person in what they are saying. And in that moment, something shifts in how you listen. You begin to pay attention fully. You give the speaker your undivided presence and you acknowledge their message, not just with words, but with your attention. You show that you are listening, not just hearing, but truly receiving. You gently provide feedback when needed. You defer judgment instead of rushing to conclusions, and you respond appropriately, not reactively. And maybe the simplest way to understand all of this is listening is like volunteering. You are choosing to give something valuable, your attention, your presence, your time, without needing anything in return. And that is what makes it powerful. And even beyond communication itself, there is a deeper reminder for us. Our Islamic values remind us to be mindful of our words and equally mindful of how we receive others. Because in Islam, listening is not just a skill, it is part of character. It reflects patience, humility, and respect for the person in front of you. True listening is a form of adab, which means good manners, respectful conduct, and refined character. The way we carry ourselves in the presence of others. It means not rushing to respond, not interrupting, and not allowing ego to lead the conversation. And in everyday Islamic teaching, we are reminded that speaking well is important, but so is listening with sincerity. Because character is not only shown in how we speak, but in how we listen. These days, from so many people, we get to hear a very common phrase: "No one understands me." It's a very genuine feeling. But if we pause for a moment and observe gently, we may notice something deeper underneath that feeling. Sometimes it's not that people are not understood at all, but that in many conversations, understanding is not fully completed on both sides.
We may be speaking our thoughts, but not always fully receiving the other person's thoughts in return. Understanding is not one-sided. It is a two-way experience. It requires both speaking with clarity and listening with presence. And when we begin to stop listening deeply, we slowly also start to feel unheard ourselves. It's not because people are not speaking to us or listening, but because the connection in the conversation becomes incomplete. In a world that rewards speaking louder, choosing to listen is a different kind of strength, a quieter one, but a deeper one. As Epictetus, a Greek Stoic philosopher from the 1st century, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Being a good speaker might get you attention, but being a good listener earns you trust. So, my gentle listeners, before you move on with your day, I want to leave you with a few quiet questions, not to answer immediately, but to sit with. In your conversations, are you listening to respond or to understand? Is there someone in your life right now who doesn't need advice but simply needs your presence? And what would change if you choose to listen more intentionally today? And maybe in offering that kind of attention, you create a space where something meaningful can begin. Thank you for listening. May you carry a little more presence into your next conversation.
Subscribe now to Reflections, to dabble with Natty the Nerd.